Right, my friends, welcome to class. I'm sorry to miss class today, but it could not be helped. So I'm going to walk you through what you're going to do today. This is going to require you to hit pause from time to time and have a chat with your partner. So when I tell you to hit pause, I want you to literally do that. Hit pause on your video, take your earbuds out, and then have a chat with your partner. And your sub should just be able to manage this, all right? Just sort of keep you in line. First thing I want you to do is make sure, a little housekeeping, make sure that you have your Mystery Mixtures lab is finished and that you have named it correctly and put it in the correct place. So remember, the name should be your first name and last name, your partner's first name and last name, and then it should say Block D or Block H, and then it should say Mystery Mixtures Lab. It needs to be titled correctly so that I can find it and give credit where credit is due. And then once that's done, one of the partners, doesn't matter who, needs to drop it into the box, into Dropbox, so I can find it and then I know exactly who worked on what. In your document, you should have a completed data table and your CERs, however many that you did. You might have done one, you might have done three, I don't know. After that, and you should take a few minutes and get that done, so hit pause now and make sure that's finished. And then when you are done, come on back. All right, so now after that, I want you to have a chat with your partner. I want you to think about the Mystery Mixtures lab that you guys did. And I want you to stop and talk about the difference between something being a mixture and something that is not a mixture. So see if you and your partner can work out the difference between those two things. What's a mixture, what defines a mixture, and then what is not a mixture. And go ahead and hit pause and have that chat, and don't come back until you're done. Okay, now you're back. We are moving on. I want you to go through this with me. You don't have to take notes on this since I'm going to give it to you as a video. It's important for you to remember back from 6th grade that you need to start thinking about everything we're going to work with in chemistry as being a type of matter. And matter is defined as anything that has mass and takes up space. All right, so that's incredibly important. Now, after that, matter can be divided up into two different types of matter. Either it's a pure substance or it's a mixture. So now that I've given you those two definitions, or those two words, you had mixture before, see if you can have a chat with your partner about what the difference is between the two. You can hit pause and do that. Next, either jot this down or at least go through it with me and bookmark this slideshow so you've got it for another day. But the definition of a pure substance is that it's anything that has a set of substances that have a common characteristics like color, odor, or density, which we consider to be examples of physical properties. And they also have the ability to react with water and acids, or they might be flammable. Those are chemical properties. Now, there are endless amounts of physical and chemical properties. There's lots of them. I chose to highlight ones that you guys experienced in this lab this week. So you were looking at color, some of you were wafting, some of you even tried to calculate density, some of you definitely reacted the powders with water or acid, and you tested its flammability. So all of those things you tested, those are all characteristics. If something has the same odor, the same color, the same density, they have similar ability to react with water and acids or flammability, chances are they are a pure substance. A mixture, on the other hand, is a combination of substances in which the component elements are distinct. They are different from one another. Sometimes you can see that really easily with the naked eye, like chocolate chip cookies, and sometimes you cannot, like something like air. Air that we breathe is actually a mixture mainly of nitrogen gas and then some oxygen gas and then trace things like carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, pollution, things like that. But it is definitely a mixture. The difference is air, you can't immediately tell the difference of the substances, but with a chocolate chip cookie you can. So I want you to pause the video here in a moment, and I want you to think about that carousel of powders. And in fact, if you need to go and get a carousel of powders to have it in front of you so you can have them to look at, I want you to look at each vial of powders, each little blue container, and I want you to separate them out into what you think is a pure substance and which ones you think are mixtures. So go ahead and hit pause and do that with your partner. Okay, now that you're back, I'm wondering if you have put a huge group in the mixture category or if you've put a huge group in the pure substance category. They should all actually be pure substances. All of those powders are pure substances, including even the water that's in the little vial. The only mixtures that you guys dealt with were the mystery mixtures that I gave you. And in fact, only one of them was actually, or excuse me, only two of them of the three were actually mixtures. One of them was a pure substance. I did just to trick you for fun. All right, so pure substances were the things that all had common characteristics. So take a look at these models. Think of this first one here as Model A, Model B, Model C, and Model D, and have a moment with your partner. You can hit pause in a second and actually discuss what you think this first model represents. Does it represent a pure substance or does it represent a mixture? And then have that discussion. And then what does this one represent? What does this one represent? And what does this one represent? All right, go ahead and hit pause and do that. All right, now that you're back, you should have found that this one here on the far left is a pure substance because each one of the spheres is blue and they essentially look exactly the same. So you've just got a bunch of particles that look the same and act the same. That's a pure substance. Over here, this one's also a pure substance. This is actually meant to represent water, but even if you didn't know that, or excuse me, carbon dioxide, even if you didn't know that, you would see that each one has a gray sphere in the middle and then two red spheres on the sides, and each particle is the same. If each particle is the same, it's a pure substance. These two, on the other hand, are mixtures. This one is a mixture of orange spheres and then double greens, and this one is some sort of a red and two whites, and then this looks like a green with a couple of maybe 2 or 3 different things here attached to the bottom. But either way, these guys are pure substances and these guys are pure substances, but put them together and they become a mixture. Try it again with these. Go ahead and hit pause and have that chat with your partner. And you should have found that this is a mixture, pure substance, pure substance, pure substance, pure substance, mixture, mixture. Hopefully you got those right. All right? At this point, what I wanted to do is introduce these two concepts because next week when you take your test on mystery mixtures, I want you to be able to use the correct terminology. So it's important for me that you're using proper terms like pure substance and mixture when you're working that into your CER. So I wanted to make sure that that was clear. All right, after that, go ahead and cruise along, and your substitute teacher is going to give you a yellow packet of some reflection materials, and I would like you to go through it and spend probably about 30 minutes reflecting and getting ready for conferences next week. These yellow packets are to be completed in class, and then you are going to give them back to the substitute teacher at the end of whenever you're finished, and she's going to collect them. I'm going to keep them, and I will have them for conferences next week. So I'll keep them and have them ready for you to chat with your parents about. So spend, I'd say, 20 to 30 minutes going through it carefully and answering the questions honestly and being sort of primed to have these conversations with your parents next week. And then finally, when you're finished with all of that, then you can quietly hang out, do some homework, read a book quietly, and we'll just end there. And then I'll pick up with it after class or at our next class next time. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend.